The day the humans returned, the galaxy was not ready. Months had passed since the mysterious message, "The era of observation is over." The Galactic Council had fallen into confusion. Every meeting ended in fear and argument. The Zorlan Dominion demanded action, the Valen Republic begged for peace, and the Threx Union insisted that humanity was bluffing, but no one truly knew what had happened in the Sol system. The Dominion fleet that had gone there came back silent and broken. Their ships had been found adrift, their systems damaged beyond repair. No recordings remained, no proof of what they had seen, and yet their commanders returned pale, quiet, and changed. They refused to speak of Earth again. The galaxy whispered behind closed doors. Some said the humans had created invisible weapons. Others believed they had found ancient technology. But one truth was clear. Humanity had done something that defied reason. They had disappeared, and then they had warned the galaxy to stay away. Across the stars in the Council's capital on GalacticPrime, tension filled the air. Armies trained, fleets mobilized. Old alliances began to form in secret. The galaxy's great powers decided to unite under one name, the Alliance of Order, to defend themselves if humanity ever returned. But deep down, none of them truly believed humans would attack. After all, humans had always been peaceful. They had always smiled, helped, and shared. Surely they were not capable of war on a galactic scale, or so everyone thought. Then came the first sighting. A Threx patrol ship, Starwatcher 9, was guarding the border near the Peridian Belt when its sensors detected a massive energy surge. At first, they believed it was a star flare, but then space itself seemed to ripple. Out of the distortion came a dark shape, long, silent, and sharp-edged. It was a ship. The Threx captain ordered a scan, but the data returned blank. The object absorbed every signal. Then the lights dimmed and a strange voice came over the radio, calm, cold, and unmistakably human. "This region is now under Solar Authority protection. Withdraw immediately." The Threx captain laughed nervously. "Solar Authority? Humanity is gone," he shouted. The voice replied softly, "No, we have returned." Before the captain could answer, the ship in front of them unfolded, literally unfolded, like a living machine. Panels shifted, light flowed across its surface, and then the ship vanished. When the Threx crew regained control, they found their weapons disabled, their engines offline, and a message written across every screen. "We remember." The Threx Union tried to keep the event secret, but word spread quickly. Within days, more reports came in from the Outer Rim, massive ships appearing near abandoned human colonies, scanning worlds, then vanishing again. The descriptions were always the same, dark ships that shimmered like shadows, marked with a silver Earth surrounded by 12 stars. The Council called an emergency session. Admiral Tharic of the Dominion, now older and bitter, stood before the Assembly. "This cannot continue. Humanity is building a fleet. We must strike now before they grow too strong." Councillor Lura of the Valen Republic stood in protest. "You have no proof they intend war. Every time humans appear, they do not attack. They only warn us to stay away." "They are hiding something," Tharic shouted. "Something powerful enough to destroy fleets." Councillor Reen, the Rithian scholar, looked around the chamber quietly before speaking. "Maybe they are not hiding. Maybe they are preparing to reveal what they have become." Days later, the revelation came. It began on the outer world of Dareth 4, a peaceful mining planet owned by the Dominion. The sky turned dark at noon. Every sensor, every communication system went silent. Then the air trembled. Above the planet, space twisted open, like fabric being torn apart. From the distortion emerged a ship so large it covered half the horizon. Its hull shimmered black and blue, made of unknown alloys that bent light around it. Thousands of lights moved across its surface like flowing stars. The miners on the ground stopped and stared. Some dropped their tools. Others fell to their knees in silence. The ship did not fire. It simply hovered, watching. Then a human voice echoed across the planet's radio channels. "This world was once defended by those who believed in peace. You have taken it by force. It is now under Solar Command protection. Evacuate." The Dominion ignored the warning and launched their defense fleet. Hundreds of ships surrounded the massive vessel. Weapons charged. The human ship didn't move. It waited. Then, when the first shot was fired, everything changed. In an instant, the Dominion's weapons vanished. Not exploded, vanished. Their energy fields collapsed. Missiles stopped mid-flight and drifted harmlessly through space. The human ship emitted a wave of blue light. Every Dominion system went dark. Their fleets floated silently, powerless. The human voice returned. "We will not destroy you, but remember this moment." Then the ship disappeared, gone in a flash of light. When power returned to the Dominion ships, the planet below was untouched. But every communication tower carried the same message: do not mistake silence for weakness. The galaxy panicked. News spread faster than light. Every race, every empire, every government began to prepare for the worst. The phrase Solar Command became known across the stars, a name whispered with awe and fear. The humans had not only survived, they had evolved. Over the following weeks, more sightings appeared. Enormous structures were detected in deep space orbiting distant suns. They were called solar forges, vast human-built facilities that seemed to create entire fleets. When scientists tried to scan them, the forges disappeared into cloaking fields, but energy readings showed their power exceeded entire planetary grids. The humans had learned, adapted, and built in secret. They had combined the knowledge of dozens of alien species, reverse-engineered old technologies, and improved them beyond imagination. On GalacticPrime, the Galactic Council met once again. Every species was frightened now. Even the proud Dominion hesitated to speak. Counselor Reen broke the silence. "They are not coming to destroy. They are coming to prove a point. They want us to see." "See what?" asked one frightened diplomat. Reen looked at the star map. "The truth that humans were never weak. They simply chose to grow in the shadows while we laughed." Then, one day, the entire galactic network lit up. Every screen, every transmitter, every communication satellite across the known galaxy received the same signal. A logo appeared first: the silver Earth and 12 stars. Then a voice spoke, calm and proud. "We are the United Solar Command. Humanity has returned to the stars not as wanderers, but as guardians. We watched as the galaxy drowned in wars, greed, and fear. We stayed silent not because we were weak, but because we were preparing. We will not conquer, but we will no longer be silent." As the voice ended, images filled the screens, fleets of human ships rising from the dark, their engines glowing like suns. Massive carriers, sleek cruisers, and smaller defense craft, each one marked with the same emblem. In every corner of the galaxy, people stopped what they were doing and watched in awe. Some whispered prayers. Others trembled. The Threx captain, who had once seen the first ship, now stared at the screen, speechless. "They've built a fleet," he murmured. "A fleet like nothing we've ever seen." And he was right. The human ships were not just powerful, they were beautiful. Elegant designs mixed with deadly precision. A symbol of unity, intelligence, and purpose. The broadcast ended with one final message. "To all species of the galaxy, we seek peace, but we will defend it. The age of hidden wars and false peace is over. The Solar Command stands watch." Then the signal vanished. For hours, the galaxy remained silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Every ruler, every general, every admiral stared into the void, knowing what this meant. Humanity had revealed its strength, not through conquest, but through control, mastery, and silence. The humans had done the impossible. They had made the galaxy listen. The galaxy had gone quiet. After the broadcast from the United Solar Command, every planet, every station, and every fleet stood still. It was as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. For the first time in galactic history, all major powers, Dominion, Threx, Valen, and dozens more had seen something they could not explain, could not stop, and could not challenge. The humans had returned, and they had returned with power beyond imagination. But it wasn't just their weapons or ships that frightened the galaxy. It was their calmness, their silence, their confidence. When the humans spoke through the broadcast, they had not threatened anyone. They had simply stated facts. And yet, those few calm words had more weight than any army ever could. The age of arrogance was ending. In the great chamber of the Galactic Council, tension filled the air. Holograms of planets floated in the center as representatives shouted over one another. They claim peace but show weapons that can erase fleets, shouted Admiral Theric of the Zorlon Dominion. They have not attacked anyone, replied Councillor Lura of the Valen Republic. They only protect their borders. Perhaps we should talk to them instead of fearing them. Talk to them? Tharic's voice thundered. They destroyed our defenses on Dareth 4 without firing a shot. That was not peace, it was domination. Reen, the old Rithian scholar, stood slowly. And yet they spared you, he said calmly. They could have turned your fleets to dust, but they didn't. That tells me they are sending a message, not a threat. The chamber fell silent. Even Tharic had no answer to that, because deep down everyone knew it was true. Humanity had the power to destroy, but they had chosen not to use it, and that made them even more frightening. Outside the council, panic began to spread through the common worlds. Some people believed humanity would soon conquer the galaxy. Others believed they would save it. Trade ships avoided human space entirely, fearing unknown defenses. But then something unexpected happened. A human ship, sleek and black as midnight, arrived in orbit above a Velan world. It did not hide. It did not attack. It simply transmitted a message. Ambassadorial ship Solar Harmony requests permission to enter orbit for peaceful dialogue. The Valens, nervous but curious, accepted. When the human delegation stepped out, the entire planet watched through live broadcast. There were 5 of them, 3 men and 2 women, dressed in silver and blue uniforms marked with the Solar Command emblem. Their faces were calm, confident, and respectful. The lead ambassador, a woman named Captain Mira Solon, spoke first. We come not to rule but to restore balance. Humanity has learned much in silence. We seek peace, but not peace built on fear or control. A true peace, her words carried strength. The Valen Council listened, unsure whether to trust or fear her. But then she showed them something extraordinary. A small device, barely the size of her hand, projected a hologram of Earth, shining, alive, surrounded by stations and vast fleets. We rebuilt our home, Mira said softly, not as a fortress but as a symbol. Every nation on Earth united. No more wars, no more borders. We became one world, one people. And now we offer that lesson to the stars. The Valens were silent. They had fought their own civil wars for centuries. The idea of one united world seemed like a dream. News of this meeting spread faster than light. The galaxy began to see humanity in a new way, not just as a threat, but as something more. A mystery, a possibility. The United Solar Command did not invade. Instead, they began sending envoys to other worlds. They rebuilt destroyed colonies, restored trade routes, and offered technology, energy sources, healing tools, and powerful shields for free. But there was one rule. The technology could never be used for war. If anyone tried, their systems would shut down automatically. The galaxy slowly began to realize that the humans had not returned to conquer. They had returned to correct the chaos that centuries of conflict had created. Yet, not everyone believed their intentions were pure. Far away, in the cold depths of the Zorlon Dominion, a secret council met in the shadows. Admiral Theric, now obsessed with humanity's power, had gathered his best scientists and strategists. He could not stand the thought of being powerless before a younger race. We cannot allow them to rule the galaxy with silence, he growled. We must find their weakness. His scientists nodded fearfully. They had already begun studying fragments of energy from the Dareth 4 incident. One of them, a young engineer, spoke hesitantly. Sir, the readings from the human weapon. It's not energy as we know it. It bends reality. It doesn't destroy, it rewrites. Tharic's eyes burned with anger. Then we will rewrite it back. He ordered the creation of a new fleet, Project Eclipse, designed to fight the humans if war ever came. But deep down, even he knew the truth. They were preparing for a battle they could not win. Meanwhile, the humans continued their quiet campaign of influence. They sent peacekeepers to neutral worlds, helping rebuild societies broken by war. They mediated treaties between rival empires. They even repaired old space stations that had been abandoned for centuries. Everywhere they went, they brought calm. And yet, they always watched. Their fleets, called Solar Titans, moved silently between systems, massive and graceful, their presence alone enough to end conflicts before they began. One Titan, Eternal Dawn, became famous across the galaxy when it appeared above 2 warring colonies. The colonies had been fighting for years over a mineral-rich moon. When eternal dawn arrived, both sides stopped firing immediately. The ship opened a communication channel, and a human commander spoke. "We do not choose sides, but we will not allow the stars to bleed again. You have one choice, peace or silence." The colonies surrendered their weapons within hours. It was said later that the human ship never fired a single shot, but the power it represented was enough to make armies tremble. Back on HFY, Counselor Reen stood before the Galactic Council once more. He had aged. His scales dimmed, but his eyes were sharp. "Look at what they are doing," he said. "In 1 year, humanity has ended 5 wars, restored 7 dying worlds, and brought peace to entire sectors. It's not with fear, but with presence." Admiral Theric scowled. "Peace built on fear is still fear." "No," Reen replied quietly. "Peace built on respect." The chamber fell silent. Even Theric could not deny the truth. Wherever humanity went, order followed. Their ships had become symbols of stability. Their words carried the weight of centuries of patience and wisdom, and slowly the galaxy began to change. Empires stopped expanding. Trade routes reopened. Species that had hated each other for generations began to talk again. It was as if humanity's return had reminded the galaxy what it had forgotten: unity. Still, there were questions. How had humans built such power? Where had they hidden for all those years? And most of all, what had changed them? The answers remained locked within the Solar Command. Their homeworld was now surrounded by a vast defensive sphere known as the Solar Veil. No outsider had ever been allowed to enter. But rumors said that behind that veil lay not just fleets and factories, but something greater. A machine that could bend space itself. A mind of human creation that watched over every system. Whatever it was, the galaxy knew one thing for sure: it kept the peace. As years passed, the Council slowly accepted the new order. The humans did not rule, but they guided. They did not threaten, but they reminded. Whenever disputes arose, the phrase was whispered, "Call the Solar Command," and always, they answered, sometimes with fleets, sometimes with words, but always with purpose. In time, the galaxy began to understand the meaning behind humanity's silence. They had not disappeared out of fear. They had disappeared to evolve. They had learned from every species, every war, every mistake, and now they stood as guardians not of territory, but of peace itself. For the first time in the galaxy's long and chaotic history, there was balance, and at its center, quietly watching over it all, stood humanity, calm, united, and unbreakable. The galaxy had never known silence like this. It was not the quiet of a starless void. It was not the pause of waiting for a battle to begin. This silence was deeper, heavier, woven into the very fabric of space. It was the silence that came after understanding. After humanity revealed its true power, every species, every empire, every colony had stopped and listened. For the first time in countless millennia, no one dared to act without thought. No one dared to raise weapons or speak without caution. The United Solar Command had returned not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy of one simple truth: humans were united, patient and unmatched in will, and now, the galaxy understood that words were not necessary. Actions alone carried the message. The first to feel it were the Outer Rim colonies. These were worlds on the edge of the galaxy, often overlooked, often left to their own devices. When humans arrived in these sectors, their ships did not fire a single shot. They did not impose laws. They did not demand allegiance. Instead, the solar titans, human fleets of massive gleaming ships, simply appeared. Their presence was enough. Pirates surrendered. Warring factions disbanded. Star systems that had been in chaos for decades began to thrive. Civilizations that had been starving for guidance, for stability, for hope, began to rebuild. And all they needed was the quiet strength of humanity to remind them that peace could exist. In the Galactic Council on HFY, the Great Chamber had changed forever. Once a place of debate and dispute, it was now a hall of respect. Representatives of the Zorlan Dominion, the Valen Republic, the Threx Union, and countless others no longer argued over borders or trade disputes. Instead, they listened when the humans spoke, and often they didn't need to speak at all. A single human envoy, Captain Mira Solon, could calm an entire council simply by entering the room. Her presence, her calm voice, and the knowledge that she represented the united Earth carried a weight no army could match. "We do not seek dominion," she said one day, addressing the chamber. "We seek understanding. We seek unity, and if that is impossible, we will stand as guardians until the galaxy can find its own balance." Every word echoed like truth. Every pause carried authority. The silence in the chamber was not fear. It was awe. Even the most skeptical empires began to change. The Zorlan Dominion, once the most aggressive and expansionist force in the galaxy, halted its campaigns on multiple fronts. Their ships no longer patrolled distant sectors aggressively. Instead, they assisted in rebuilding colonies the humans had passed through. The Threx Union, notorious for its harsh rule, began protecting trade routes instead of raiding them. They installed solar energy grids on remote worlds, technology supplied by humanity, and the galaxy saw the first real era of cooperation in centuries, and the humans did not demand thanks. They did not ask for tribute. They simply acted, and their reputation spread. Wherever a solar titan appeared, war stopped before it began. In the deep space beyond the known stars, fleets of humans continued to grow, not to conquer, but to defend. Each ship was more than a warship. It was a symbol, a moving monument to human ingenuity and will. Their designs combined beauty and strength. They could navigate slip space with unmatched precision. They could shield entire colonies from orbital bombardment, and yet they were always ready to retreat, to avoid unnecessary conflict if diplomacy worked. Scientists across the galaxy studied the solar titans with fascination. They could not understand the technology fully. Human engineers had combined alien knowledge with their own, creating energy systems and defenses that seemed impossible. And when questioned, the humans would only smile. "We only ask that you use knowledge for creation, not destruction." The galaxy began to realize that humans were not simply powerful, they were wise. Back on Kareth Prime, Counselor Reen reflected on everything that had changed. He had watched as fleets surrendered without firing. He had seen disputes dissolve into peaceful negotiations. He had witnessed entire worlds begin to flourish after centuries of neglect, and he understood the true power humanity had shown. Not the power of weapons, not the power of fleets, but the power of restraint. It was an entirely new kind of dominance. Humans had revealed a force so strong that it did not need to destroy. They had shown the galaxy that strength without cruelty was possible, and in that moment the galaxy fell silent. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Even children in distant colonies learned of humanity's legacy. Stories spread about the first time a solar titan had appeared over a warring planet and how the two sides had laid down their arms simply because of its presence. Tales told of humans rebuilding entire star systems and teaching alien species to cooperate. Poets wrote verses about the shining Earth and the stars. Scholars debated how a species so small, so underestimated, could achieve what they did. And everyone agreed on one point: humanity had changed the galaxy forever. Yet, the humans themselves remained humble. They did not celebrate. They did not raise flags over conquered worlds. They did not demand tribute or loyalty. Instead, they worked quietly, tirelessly, ensuring that every corner of the galaxy could thrive without fear. Their fleets became guardians. Their scientists became teachers. Their diplomats became guides, and their homeworld, Earth, shone brighter than ever. The planet itself became a symbol of unity. From orbit, satellites recorded a world without divisions, without conflict. Cities glimmered in harmony. Oceans sparkled in peace. Humanity had built not a fortress, but a beacon. Over decades, the galaxy adapted to this new order. Wars diminished. Trade flourished. New alliances formed not from fear, but from respect. Species that had hated each other for centuries worked together. Borders became flexible, treaties lasting, and space travel safer. All of it under the silent watch of the humans. And still, humanity did not interfere directly. Their presence was enough. Their strength was enough. Their example was enough. Every empire knew the truth. Challenge the humans and you would not survive. But honor their purpose and the galaxy could thrive. The galaxy learned to trust silence. And then came the moment historians would call the silent turn. It was the day a new council was formed. Not dominated by empires, not ruled by fleets, but guided by representatives of every species, including humans. The first meeting of this council was extraordinary. Every race, once divided by suspicion and war, sat together. Every human envoy was present, not as rulers but as equal participants. Captain Mira Solon spoke again. We did not return to conquer. We did not return to dominate. We returned to remind the galaxy that power is not measured by destruction, but by the will to protect, to create, and to endure. And in that moment, no one doubted it. The galaxy understood. Humans had revealed the ultimate truth: strength without cruelty, power without aggression, and unity without oppression. It was a lesson the galaxy would never forget. And as the stars shone silently around them, every species felt it in their hearts. The era of chaos had ended, not with fire, but with calm, patient, and undeniable force. Humanity had returned. Humanity had endured. And the galaxy, finally, completely and forever, was silent, not from fear, not from weakness, but from awe. The humans had done the impossible. They had united the galaxy, and in that unity there was peace. The stars looked peaceful that day. Across the endless dark of space, the massive Galactic Council Station orbited a bright blue star. Thousands of ships came and went, carrying diplomats, traders, and soldiers from every corner of the known galaxy. It was supposed to be a place of peace, a center of order and civilization. But peace is always fragile. And that day the silence was broken by a single message: brace yourself. A human warship is incoming. The words appeared suddenly across dozens of communication channels. Static followed, then silence again. At first, no one took it seriously. The message had come from a distant colony on the edge of known space, a place most council members had never even heard of. Humans, after all, were not a major power. They were newcomers to galactic society, a young species from a small planet called Earth. They didn't control fleets or colonies across the stars. They were explorers and traders trying to survive among stronger and older civilizations. So when the message arrived, most people laughed. In the great council hall, high above the glittering lights of the station, hundreds of alien leaders gathered. They were tall and strange, some covered in crystal scales, others with eyes that glowed like suns. At the center sat High Chancellor Vurek, a proud and ancient being from the Zelkar Dominion, one of the galaxy's strongest empires. He tapped one of his long claws against the table and said, "A human warship? Is this some kind of joke?" A soft laughter spread across the hall. The humans were not even members of the main council. They were considered too small, too emotional, and too unpredictable to join the ruling powers. "Maybe it's a pirate ship," said another delegate, his voice calm but mocking. "Or maybe they finally learned how to turn their transport ships into weapons," added another. And more laughter followed, but one person did not laugh. At the far end of the table sat Ambassador Lyra, a representative of the Vossian Alliance, a species known for their intelligence and caution. Her silver eyes glowed faintly as she studied the message. The transmission carried something odd, a trace of fear. The sender had spoken fast, as if they had seen something terrifying. "This wasn't a joke," she said quietly. "I've seen messages like this before, during the first invasion of the RAL sectors. A warning. Sent too late," the Chancellor frowned. "Are you suggesting humans have such power?" Lyra hesitated. "No, but something happened. Something big enough for them to send this message before vanishing." The word vanishing made the room quiet. Moments later, another signal came in. This time it was not a message, it was data. Sensor readings from the destroyed colony. The council's analyst played the recording in front of everyone. The screen showed a starfield peaceful and calm. Then, without warning, a flash of white light brighter than a sun. The sensors broke down for 3 seconds. When they came back, there was nothing left. No ships, no colonies, only debris floating in the void. Every eye turned toward the High Chancellor. "This is impossible," Vurek said, narrowing his eyes. "No known weapon can cause that kind of destruction. Not in one strike." Then another transmission arrived, and another, one from the Koran frontier, one from the Zereth belt, and one from the Outer Rim trading route. All 3 messages carried the same final line. "Brace yourself. A human warship is incoming." The council chamber filled with murmurs. Now it was no longer a joke. 3 colonies destroyed within hours, one advisor whispered. Different regions. No survivors. Are the humans attacking? Another asked. No, Lyra said. If it were a war, there would be communication, demands, warnings. This looks like something else. For the first time in many years, the mighty powers of the galaxy felt something unfamiliar, uncertainty. In the shadows of deep space, far from any trade route, the source of the fear was moving quietly. It was the HSS Nemesis, the first and only Titan-class dreadnought ever built by humanity. The ship was colossal, larger than most cities. Its surface was made of black titanium plates that reflected no light. The hull carried no flags, no symbols, only a single line engraved near the command bridge. For Earth, for the fallen. Inside the bridge, a man stood in silence, looking out into the void. Admiral Reeve, commander of the Nemesis, was known across human space as a calm and fearless leader. His dark uniform bore no medals, only a small patch showing Earth's blue and white sphere. Status report, he said softly. Engines at full charge, replied his officer. Weapon systems ready. Quantum core stable, Reeve nodded. And the targets? Confirmed, the officer answered. The Zelkar fleet destroyed Europa Prime. Their leaders ordered it. We have their coordinates. For a moment, Reeve said nothing. His reflection in the glass looked calm, but behind his eyes burned a cold fire. Open a secure channel to all ships within human command, he ordered. When the line opened, he spoke clearly. To all human vessels, the galaxy must learn humanity is not weak. We will not kneel. This mission is not one of revenge, but of justice. The Nemesis moves for those who were silenced on Europa Prime. Brace yourselves, my brothers and sisters. Today humanity speaks through fire, the message ended. Across human colonies, every heart felt the same emotion, not anger, but resolve. The Nemesis was more than a ship. It was a symbol of everything humans had endured. Back in the council hall, the atmosphere had changed completely. The laughter was gone. The delegates were now surrounded by holograms of destroyed fleets and empty star systems. Every report says the same thing, said one technician nervously. A single ship. Massive power output, unknown weapon systems. Every attack lasts less than 5 minutes. The Chancellor's voice was low and serious. So it's true. Humanity built something beyond our understanding. Impossible, said another delegate. Their technology was centuries behind ours. Lyra turned toward the group. Maybe they were never behind. Maybe they were just quiet. Her words struck the room like a wave. For centuries, the galaxy had looked down on Earth, calling them reckless, emotional, and primitive. No one had noticed that while the great empires fought among themselves, humans were building, learning, and uniting. Now, all that silence had produced a storm. Hours later, emergency signals flashed across the galactic network. The Zelkar Dominion fleet, one of the largest in existence, had been completely destroyed at the edge of the Orion belt. Not by an army, by a single human ship. Survivors reported seeing beams of light that could slice through entire battleships, shields that absorbed energy and turned it back against their enemies, and a human voice on the radio saying only one thing: stand down. The Nemesis is passing through. No one stood down, and none of them lived to tell the story completely. When the report reached the council, the Chancellor stood frozen. Even he who once mocked the humans could no longer deny it. This is not a fleet, he whispered. It's a force of nature. Lyra looked up at the stars visible through the glass dome of the chamber. No, she said softly. It's something worse. It's humanity, remembering what we did to them. That night, the Council sent an urgent message to all worlds. All ships stand alert. Prepare defenses. A human warship known as the HSS Nemesis has entered central space. Avoid engagement if possible. And as the message spread, millions across the galaxy looked to the skies with fear. The stars, once peaceful and silent, now carried the whisper of a name. Brace yourself, they said. A human warship is coming. The galaxy had gone silent. After the destruction of the Zelkar Dominion fleet, entire star systems were on high alert. Every spaceport, every outpost, every patrol ship was listening for one name: Nemesis. In the deep darkness of space, the ship drifted like a shadow among the stars. No light escaped its hull, no energy signature gave away its position. Yet every advanced scanner in the galaxy could sense it somehow. like a storm on the horizon that no one could see, but everyone could feel. Inside the HSS Nemesis, the crew worked in complete silence. Every officer knew the importance of their mission. They weren't chasing glory or conquest. They were carrying out the will of every human who had ever lost someone to the arrogance of alien empires. Admiral Jonathan Reeve stood in front of the large viewport at the center of the bridge. The glass showed a field of stars so vast that it looked endless. His reflection showed a man worn by years of war, but with eyes full of calm determination. Behind him stood Commander Hale, his second in command. "All systems stable, sir," Hale reported. "Engines at 70%. Quantum lances charged. We're ready for the next jump." Reeve didn't turn around. "How's the crew?" "They're steady," Hale said. "Focused. But—" He hesitated. "But?" Reeve asked quietly. Hale lowered his voice. "Some of them worry, sir. The galaxy thinks we're monsters. They think we're coming to destroy everything." Reeve smiled faintly. "That's what they always think, Commander. Fear is easy. Understanding is not." He turned at last and walked toward the command table. The surface displayed a holographic map of known space, thousands of glowing dots showing planets, stations, and fleets. A single red line stretched across the map, marking the Nemesis's current path, from the ruins of Europa Prime to the Galactic Council's core. "We didn't start this war," Reeve said. "We only finished it." He touched the hologram, zooming in on Europa Prime. Once, it had been one of humanity's brightest colonies, home to millions of people, children, scientists, and builders. Now it was nothing but ashes and orbiting debris. "They thought we were too weak to fight back," he said quietly. "They were wrong." Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council station, chaos had replaced calm. Emergency meetings ran without end. Holograms of panicked officials filled every chamber. Entire fleets were being redirected toward the human route. The High Chancellor Vurek was no longer calm. He looked older, his bright eyes dimmed with fear. Around him, his advisors spoke in fast, nervous tones. "We've confirmed that the Nemesis is heading toward the Council core," said one. "They've bypassed all patrols, no communication, no demands, just moving." "They're not conquering worlds," another said. "They ignore colonies. They only destroy fleets that try to stop them." "That's what makes it worse," Vurek shouted, slamming his hand on the table. "They're not interested in power, they're making a point." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what he meant. The humans weren't seeking territory. They were showing the galaxy what happened when Earth was pushed too far. Ambassador Lyra spoke softly, breaking the silence. "Perhaps we should try talking to them." The Chancellor glared at her. "You think they'll listen?" "They haven't attacked civilian worlds," Lyra replied calmly. "That means they still follow rules. Maybe their leader can be reasoned with." Vurek looked doubtful, but he knew she was right. The Nemesis was unstoppable in battle. If diplomacy failed, destruction was certain. "Very well," he said finally. "Send a transmission on every frequency. Offer a meeting. We must stop this madness before it reaches our doors." Back on the Nemesis, the communication officer looked up from her console. "Incoming transmission, Admiral. Priority channel. Origin Galactic Council Station." Reeve raised an eyebrow. "Play it." The holographic image of Ambassador Lyra appeared above the table. Her face was calm, her tone respectful. "Admiral Reeve of the human warship Nemesis," she began. "The Galactic Council requests communication. We do not wish for more destruction. Please respond. There must be another way." The message ended, leaving a heavy silence in the room. Commander Hale spoke first. "Sir, what should we do?" Reeve didn't answer immediately. He looked out at the stars again. "Open a private channel," he said finally. "I'll talk to her." Moments later, the hologram returned. Lyra stood in the council chamber, facing the projection of Reeve. For a moment, both leaders simply studied each other. The calm alien diplomat and the human admiral with the weight of an entire species behind him. "Admiral Reeve," Lyra said, I speak for those who want peace. You've already proven your strength. Please stop this before it becomes a tragedy for all. Reeves' voice was low and steady. Ambassador, I am not here for conquest. I'm here for justice. Your council approved the attack on Europa Prime. They called it a resource adjustment. Do you deny this? Lyra's expression darkened. I did not approve it. Many of us didn't. But yes, the council made mistakes. Mistakes cost lives, Reeves said sharply. Millions of innocent lives. I know, she said quietly. And I'm sorry. But more death won't bring them back. Reeves' gaze softened slightly. You think I don't know that? Every human aboard this ship has already lost someone. We don't fight because we want war. We fight because the galaxy only listens when humans raise their voice. Lyra hesitated. Then what do you want, Admiral? Reeve looked straight at her through the hologram. I want your leaders to face what they did. I want the Council to admit that Earth is no longer a silent spectator in this galaxy. I want them to understand that humanity stands equal, not beneath. There was silence. Then Lyra said softly, If I can arrange a meeting, will you stop your advance? Reeve turned toward the holographic map where the red line pointed directly toward the Council core. He stared at it for a long moment. Tell them this, he said at last. If they are honest, truly honest, I'll listen. But if they lie, I will finish what I started. The transmission ended. Hours passed. The Nemesis drifted quietly through space, hidden behind a dust cloud near the Lyros Nebula. The crew worked without rest, checking systems, running diagnostics, and preparing for anything. In the engineering bay, technicians adjusted the quantum core, a glowing sphere of blue energy suspended in magnetic fields. It was the heart of the ship, capable of bending gravity and energy itself. Beside it stood Chief Engineer Riley, a young woman with tired eyes. She had lost her brother on Europa Prime. As she stared at the glowing core, she whispered softly, We're doing this for you, Alex. All across the ship, similar words were spoken quietly, not out of anger, but remembrance. Every soul on board carried the same promise. Humanity would never again be treated as less. In another part of the galaxy, fleets from dozens of species gathered. Hundreds of warships formed defensive lines across the Council perimeter, creating a wall of firepower so large it could block an entire star system. The defensive commander, an insectoid being named Krell, studied the map nervously. If the human ship comes this way, we'll stop it, he said, though his voice lacked confidence. No one answered. Everyone had seen the recordings. One ship destroying entire fleets in minutes. The Nemesis didn't fight wars. It ended them. Krell sighed. Brace yourselves, he said quietly to his officers. If the humans reach us, we won't get a second chance. Back aboard the Nemesis, Admiral Reeve stood alone in his quarters. A small hologram floated above his desk, an old photo of his family, smiling on a green field back on Earth. His daughter had been only 6 when the colony fell. He reached out and touched the hologram gently. I promised you peace, he whispered. Maybe this is how I keep that promise. A soft knock came from the door. Commander Hale stepped in. Sir, we've received confirmation. The Council has agreed to a meeting. They'll open communication in 12 hours. Reeve nodded slowly. 12 hours. He looked out the window, watching the faint glow of the distant nebula. Prepare the ship, Commander. If they're honest, maybe this ends with words. If not, Hale finished the sentence quietly. Then the galaxy will remember the day they met humanity's storm. And as the HSS Nemesis prepared to move once more, the galaxy held its breath. Some prayed for peace, some prepared for war, but all of them whispered the same warning. Brace yourself. A human warship is coming.